You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Welcome to another edition of the Prospect Show on Amateur Sports TV. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Tonight's Christmas special is sponsored by Toby Hockey and Case Financial Group. I want to start off by wishing you all a Merry Christmas. Hopefully you guys have had a great day today, got all the presents you asked for on your Christmas wish list, had a great dinner, and also had a safe but fun Christmas this year. How the Prospect Show is going to work, I explained it in last week's premiere episode, but I'm going to explain it again. It's going to be me talking to male and female hockey players from around North America in U15, U18, high school hockey leagues, the SAAHL, and any other leagues that these players might be making an impact in this season. My guest in tonight's show is number 7 overall draft pick in last year's WHL Bantam Draft for the Seattle Thunderbirds, Sam Oremba. We dive into what it was like for him getting drafted into the Dub and what it was like getting drafted to the Seattle Thunderbirds franchise. He played 2 seasons for the last 2 years with the Bantam Regina Monarchs in the Bantam AA League in the SAAHL, and in his first season he missed some time due to an injury. He only played 27 games, still put up 45 points, but last season he was able to put up a monstrous 133 points in 31 games, breaking Jaden Schwartz's single-season record back in 06-07 when he set it of 129 points. Of course, Sam able to surpass that by 4 points, putting up 133. Now, some clarification on the record. This isn't the all-time record in the league. It's only the record for the amount of games that they play now. The league actually used to play more than 31 games. They used to have around 60 games, and that record was set by Brendan Morrow back in 94-95, where he played 60 games and put up 189 points. In terms of where Sam stands overall in the all-time single-season record leaderboards, he's 3rd on that list, and for the amount of games that they play now, he does indeed have the record in that aspect. And other than talking about the record, talking about his time with the Monarchs, and talking about him getting drafted into the WHL, I had a chance to talk to Sam about how this season's going with his new team, the Regina Pat Canadians. He also got called up to play there for a short amount of time last season. He's getting full action this season, and it doesn't seem like the pressure of playing against older players, the competition's really facing him, as he has 13 points in 7 games so far this season with the Pat Canadians. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Sam Oremba now on this edition of the Prospect Show on Amateur Sports TV, this Christmas special. Wow! Welcoming in the guest now, Sam Oremba. He got drafted to the Seattle Thunderbirds last year in the 2020 WHL Draft, and he's going to be spending his next process in hockey, his next phase in hockey, playing for Seattle when he does eventually make that jump. He's from Regina, Saskatchewan, and he's joining the second ever episode of the Prospect Show. Sam, thanks so much for joining me here. This episode going out on Christmas night. Of course, we're doing it on Wednesday evening. Don't want to put you through that of doing this on Christmas night. I know that I'd rather be spending it with my family than doing this, even though this is a lot of fun. But thanks for joining the Prospect Show, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. So, just looking you up online, I had a chance to find out some fun facts about you, and I heard that you're a big Happy Gilmore movie fan. That was your favorite movie, you said. I mean, I'm a big Happy Gilmore fan too. I'd say it's Adam Sandler's best work, but why do you say that's your favorite movie?
I don't watch very many movies or shows very much, so when I do watch it, it's usually that, but that's usually the first one that comes to mind when I watch a movie. So it's funny and it gets me. So that's the
Yeah,
one I like to watch.
yeah. Some iconic characters, of course, the man himself, Adam Sandler playing Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin, of course, maybe one of the best sports movie villains ever. Would you agree?
Yeah, it could be actually one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And lots of classic scenes in that movie too. Some of Adam Sandler's best. Do you have a favorite scene in particular in that movie?
Oh, probably when he the fist bump or the in the air where he punches the air.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta say one of my favorites has to be when he's practicing with Chubbs, his putting at the mini golf course, and then he takes out his frustration on the clown. That gave me a good laugh for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Moving into your favorite player now, you said it was Matt Barzell.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean Matt Barzell already such an elite hockey player in the NHL. His hands, his movement with the puck, with and without the puck, some of the best hands in the league, I would say. But why would you say Matt Barzell is your favorite player?
I watched him play a couple years ago here in Regina, and I saw the way he could skate and his hands, like he said, and the way the guy could score. So I immediately fell in love with the way he played, and he turned out to be my favorite player.
Yeah, and is that someone you're going to model your game after, or you're looking to model your game after?
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And he's played in the World Juniors. Of course, the World Juniors starting today. It's already started by the time this interview has is airing. But do you usually watch the World Juniors? I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, I do. I tune in. I watch Canada almost all their games. Every game that's usually on, I'll watch it.
Lots of great World Junior moments in Canadian hockey history, of course, back in '09 when Jordan Eberle scored that goal to tie it against Russia with 5.4 seconds left and keep the gold medal run going. We ended up winning our fifth straight. But that's one of the best memories I can remember from watching the World Juniors. Do you have one in particular for yourself?
I'd probably say last year with Akil Thomas scoring against Russia in the gold medal game.
Oh, what a goal, what a goal. And that was the I'm forgetting now. Was that the game winner?
That was the game winner. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. And what a game that was. What a game that was. So
Yeah.
we're gonna move away from that now. We're going to talk about just you getting drafted to the Seattle Thunderbirds last year, going seventh overall, and you ended up being one of four Saskatchewan-based players to go in that top seven in last year's draft, and just second pick Riley Hudd. Braden Yager went third, and then Kalen Lynn went sixth. How cool is that to know that you got drafted that high in that draft and just knowing that you got drafted among all these great Saskatchewan players?
Yeah, it was a pretty spectacular day knowing that all the hard work and time I've put in finally paid off and my name got called. So I was pretty happy to see my name up there and yeah.
And what was that like just not only getting drafted into the WHL, but hearing your name actually get called?
Yeah, it's not a thing that everybody gets to experience. When I heard it, like I said, I was pumped. It was something that not very many people get to experience.
And could you talk about some of the conversations you had with Seattle before the draft?
Yeah, we talked to him a little bit, not a lot. There was a lot of interest from a lot of the teams. I didn't really know where I was going to end up going, but we talked to Seattle a little bit, and I was lucky enough to get drafted by them.
Yeah, sweet. And probably a moment in your hockey career that you're never going to forget.
Yeah, I'll always be one that's beside me. I'll always remember it, and proud moment.
How excited are you to when you get to play in the WHL to play for this franchise and in front of all their fans when we do get fans back in the stands in hockey?
Yeah, it'll be exciting. I've always wanted to play in the WHL, so I guess my time will come, and when I get there, it'll be a big memory.
We're going to move away from you getting drafted and talk about where you were before you got drafted. You played 2 seasons in the SAAHL with the Regina Monarchs. And in that first season, you guys didn't have as good of a season as you did in your second year, but you guys ended up finishing with 14 wins, 13 losses, 0 ties, and 4 overtime losses. And you told me that there were 6 returning AA players in that year. 2 of them played in different places in first year AA. But just could you talk about coming in as a first year Bantam player and getting to learn from these vets that you played with?
Yeah, it was definitely big having vets on our team, knowing that hey, they're here for me. They'll teach me. But we also had a really good young group of guys, young group of teammates, and they taught a lot. They were very good, very good.
Could you talk about some of the ups and downs that you faced in that first year?
Yeah, well, we had a young team, so I know I got injured personally, so that would have been one of my downs. But knowing that we still had 14 wins, so it was still pretty good. We weren't the worst, but we were pretty good. We weren't in the middle of the pack.
And for you to get injured, did you ever deal with any injuries before?
No, I actually didn't. This is my first one.
So what was that like, just being able to come back, how it kind of went into the mental aspect of things, just dealing with this injury and physically rehabbing it?
Yeah, it took some time. Just rehabbing the muscle and making it better. It took some time to get back into the game, and once I got back in, I was in full swing.
And what injury did you suffer?
I had a separated shoulder.
Separated shoulder. That doesn't sound very pleasant. I know that when I was playing AA hockey when I was 15, I went down to the States and I ended up fracturing 3 of my ribs. Pretty brutal injury, but I mean, separating a shoulder too, that's never fun. But for you to be able to come back and have the season you did in that first year as a young player, first year playing Bantam, you ended up scoring 26 goals and 19 assists. You only had 2 penalty minutes, and I think that's a stat that draws a lot of attention to, is those 2 penalty minutes. It seems like throughout your career, you're a very disciplined player.
Yeah, I have been. I make sure to watch out for that, but it's something that I take pride in.
So you put up that amount of points, and you're able to do that as a rookie. Just talk about the things that you found in your game were working really well in that season for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, we had a pretty good line, so we were young though, but we worked together. We figured out how to get it done and ways to score goals. We learned on power play, penalty kill, even strength. We figured it out.
And what was that like playing in the playoffs for the first time at that level in that season? You guys go out in the division quarterfinals, but just going back to that time when you played playoff hockey at that level for the first time.
Yeah, it was definitely different knowing that two losses and we were done. So we were putting everything we had forward, and we fortunately fell short. So we did our best, but we didn't win.
And how would you say that you grew as a player in that first year?
Yeah, I definitely say my game came a long way. I learned from the other guys on our team. I learned how to be a better player, how to play faster, and it was definitely a big jump.
And for you young guys and just the team in general in that season, how did you guys grow the bond throughout that year?
Yeah, well, it's a pretty long season, so a lot of us were really good friends. So we talked a lot, we hung out, we knew each other well. So it translated to the ice, and it paid off a little bit.
And you were able to come into the playoffs and score 3 goals. How were you able to just in those 2 games generate at the pace you were producing at, because you ended up averaging about 2 points a game in those playoffs?
Yeah, I knew that it was playoff time, and I had to turn it up. So I came ready to play, knowing that we could be done pretty soon. So I brought everything and made sure to leave it out there.
And just looking back at it, you guys didn't have that success that you probably wanted in that season. But like you said, you guys were a young team. But for you, what were your personal takeaways from that year?
Yeah, I'd definitely say that I learned a lot, and it wasn't the best year, but there's better years that I've had here. So
And just looking into your second season, forget where I saw this. I forget what website it was on, but it was someone interviewed you and they were asking you questions, and it was just talking to you about the types of training you do. You do training with peak hockey and their LND spring group, which includes on ice skills, power skating, dry land trading. Uh, and you also worked out with Elite Athletics Center to focus on strength training and your conditioning. And I know that you going into that second season in Bantam, you really wanted to improve on your strength. Just talk about some of the things that you did with Elite Athletics Center to get the strength up and get the condition up, just the sorts of training that they do.
yeah, I've actually changed trainers now, but in going into my second year Bantam, I did work with them, and yeah, there's a lot of cardio, a lot of building muscle. I definitely got a lot stronger going into that year, a lot faster. So definitely paid off going into last year.
And would you say that was the first time you really went into the strength and conditioning training?
Yeah, it would have been one of the first times that it was in the off season where I was in the gym a lot, getting better.
Nice, nice. Well, we're going to go to our first commercial break here in the show, Sam. We're going to be right back with you in just a moment here. We're going to hear from a sponsor here first, going to our first commercial break, of course, here on Christmas night on the second ever installment of the Prospect Show with Sam Oremba, your host, Graeme Forsyth. We'll be right back with you here on the network. But first, a word from our sponsor. Back here on the Prospect Show with Sam Oremba, number 7 pick in the 2020 WHL Bantam Draft. And I was talking to Sam about just his time experiencing getting drafted to the WHL, just how excited he is to play with Seattle at that next level. We also dove into his first season with the Monarchs, which he played there in 2018-19 in his first season. And we were also talking to Sam about some fun facts about what his favorite movie is and what his favorite player is, and just talking about the World Juniors and just talking about one of his favorite memories as well, which was the goal last year to get Canada that gold medal. So now we're going to move into your second season with the Monarchs last year, and you ended up breaking a record, breaking Jaden Schwartz 129-point record by putting up 133 points. Just to know that you were able to do that, a record that hasn't been broken since 2006, 2007. That's when the record was set. Just how cool is that to look back at that accolade that you achieved last year and to know that you did something better than a player that's playing in the NHL now?
Yeah, it's definitely a memory. It's a huge honor knowing that I beat his record, but I also had really good guys around me that helped me to get to there. So it was a fun time.
And just you as a player, you've described yourself as a player that's skilled, lots of speed, you can score, as it was proven last year with your 75 goals, good skater, versatile, where you can play in pretty much any position they put you out there, as in playing in situations like penalty kill on the power play. So you can be relied upon not only in the offensive zone, but in the defensive zone. And you also talked about how your hockey IQ and just how the playmaking aspect of your game also translates. Obviously, you're more of a goal scorer, but were those parts always in your game? Were they always natural skills, or were they stuff that you've kind of been tweaking throughout the years?
Yeah, I'd say most of them where I've touched up on a couple things, made a couple things better to make my game better. But most of them have been there. But if they weren't, I worked on them and got them to where they are now.
And what goes into those things that you work on, really just tweaking your skills and fine tuning them?
Yeah, well, you can always watch videos on YouTube, like watching NHL guys how they do it and learn from them. Just studying the game, learning how to play.
Yeah, and that's such an underrated aspect, I think. And all the pro teams do it. There's a reason for it. Is you're only going to get better if you're watching other players play, and then even better if you get a chance to watch yourself play. But that you said something interesting in there, like you watch a lot of YouTube just to really study the game. Do you watch YouTubers like Pavel Barber and guys like How to Hockey and really kind of take in what they kind of bring to the table out there?
Yeah, I watch some of them. It's kind of all over the place, just generic videos that are touching on the basics and kind of watching previous games and where guys are and what they're doing to make them that good.
And in that interview we're talking about in the first segment, I forget what website it was on, but it was right after your 2018-19 season, so right after your first year. And you said some of the things that you wanted to work on was continue working on your strength, which you did, improving the quickness of your release on the shot, and just working on your D zone coverage as well. Just how do you think you improved your strength from that first year to that second year?
Yeah, well, I definitely spent a lot of time in the gym working on lower body and upper body strength. So I definitely say it paid off when it came to my second year.
And do you have a personal training regimen that you follow that you've been following throughout your life?
Uh, no, not really. I just go to the gym most of the time.
That's good. That's good. And working on all the good stuff like we talked about before, like strength and conditioning. And you're a deadly shooter. 75 goals last year. Prove that you led the whole league in goals. And a lot goes into being a complete shooter. Would you call yourself a complete shooter at this point?
I'm a good shooter. I definitely worked on my shot a lot last year to improve it to where it is now. So I definitely say it paid off a lot, but it can always get better and it could go to the next level.
And just going into that release, just how did you work on that release in the off season? Was it a lot of off ice work that went into that?
Yeah, it was a lot of time in the garage, a lot of some time at peak where I was working upstairs in the lanes, working on the quickness of my shot, trying to get it off before something or somebody can get in the way.
And how would you say that you improve your defensive zone coverage last year?
Yeah, I'd definitely say I worked on it a lot. I took a lot of pride in it, and I definitely say it got better as the season went on.
You guys ended up having a great season last year, 26 wins, 5 losses. That's in 31 games. And you were able to put up 75 goals, 58 assists, 133 points. Once again, being a clean player out there with only 10 penalty minutes. But, you guys were able to come into the year with some of the young guys that did return knowing what it takes to win at this level, knowing what it takes going up against these teams. Would you say that the experience that this group of the rookies in the first year that they brought to the the team in the second year, being able to really mentor some of the rookies out there, maybe, how did the bets really translate into the season you guys had last year?
Yeah, I definitely think we learned a lot, and we taught the other rookies what to do and how to play the game. So I think it definitely paid off for not only uh, us returning guys, but the rookies.
And you've had a chance to play with a guy named Brady Burney, and he wasn't too shabby himself, putting up 128 points last season. And just you guys being able to play with each other throughout these years, knowing each other's games. You guys are playing on the same team this year with the Regina Pat Canadians, but just looking at his stats, he was always kind of a playmaker on the team. You were the goal scorer, more of that. Just how do you think that you and um, Brady work so good together?
Yeah, we played together for a long time now. We know each other quite well. We're good buddies, so we've worked a lot together. We know where one of us is going to be, and we get the puck to each other and work together and get it done.
And you ended up getting called up to the Regina Pat Canadians last year, and you were able to put up uh, some points in those games too. But what was that like getting your first exposure into the U18 game when you were playing as an underage player getting called up?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge change. A lot of the guys were a lot bigger, a lot stronger, a lot faster. So it was a lot different knowing that, hey, these guys are the next level. So um, it was a big jump, but I've definitely made that jump now.
And you had a chance to play in a tournament last year with the team playing at the Western Crown tourney, and you put up monster numbers, 5 games played, 10 goals, 9 assists, and you were only second in points behind your teammate, Brady Burney, who had 21 points in that tournament. But what was that like getting to play some of the best teams in Western Canada in that tournament and getting exposure to what's out there outside of your home province of Saskatchewan?
Yeah, it was good playing against some of the top teams in different provinces. Not really them knowing who you are or what your team's weaknesses are. So it's fun playing against them. It's always a memory playing against those guys that you haven't played against for a while or haven't played against or yeah.
And I'm assuming there were scouts at this tournament.
Yeah, there was lots.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of scouts at the tournament, but it seems like you handled the pressure really well. How did you find that you were able to just kind of shut out the pressure and just play your game in front of all these scouts that you know could be keeping a pretty big eye on you with the tournament that you did have?
Yeah, I was trying to block that out. I knew they were there and I knew they were watching, but they're there to watch everybody, right? So they're usually at our games here, so I didn't try to look at it that much. I just tried to play my game.
And have you always been able to play under the pressure?
Yeah, it definitely took a little bit of time, but it wasn't that long knowing that people were watching you and they're evaluating you. But it's something that you got to play through now. So I've definitely adjusted to it.
And you guys didn't get great results in this tournament, but you got more exposure than you already had prior to the tournament with all these scouts watching. And you ended up winning 2 Player of the Game awards in that tournament. Just looking back at your time playing at the Western Crown, what were your biggest takeaways from playing there?
Yeah, I definitely say there was some really good teams there. There was some really good players too, and it was a lot faster. So, like I said, I played in a little bit some games in midget AAA, so there was the jump wasn't as big, but it was a little bit better.
Moving into playoffs with the Monarchs last year, you guys started off really well. You ended up moving on to that next round, and you put up once again monster stats like you did in the season. In the playoffs this time, putting up 6 goals, 5 assists, 11 points once again. Not even taking a penalty actually this time in the playoffs, but just hearing that the season was put on pause and was canceled due to COVID-19 coming in and wrecking everything that sports is involved in. With the season you guys had, you guys felt like you guys could probably make a run at that championship. How disappointed were you hearing that news?
Yeah, going into the season, I know most of us wanted to win the league, and it was our goal. So going into playoffs, we were hungry to win. Fortunately, it got cut off short, but we were on the upswing of hopefully getting to the league finals. So we left it all out there, and it's not like we could have done much more.
And what was that like saying goodbye to these teammates that you consider friends? I'm assuming you consider them friends, and just not being able to get it done. Just knowing that was your last time playing with a lot of these guys.
Yeah, it was a really fun year last year, and knowing that we weren't going to be able to see each other anymore, and the season was going to be cut short, it was definitely tough. But um, there wasn't much we could do about it.
Yeah, and that's the crappy thing about COVID-19 is there isn't much we can do about it. We can only really follow the restrictions. to everyone out there, make sure that you follow those restrictions, especially around the holiday season. But that's enough of me talking about COVID-19, the issues I have with it. But we're going to go to our second and final commercial break here in the show tonight on the Prospect Show on this Christmas night edition of the show, sponsored by Tovey Hockey. You heard from them in the first commercial. We're going to go to our second commercial break. As I said before, we're going to hear from Case Financial Group. I'll be right back with Sam Oremba, 7th overall pick in the 2020 WHL Bantam Draft of the Seattle Thunderbirds, here on the Prospect Show with your host, Graeme Forsyth. Back here on the Prospect Show with number 7 overall pick in the 2020 WHL Bantam Draft of the Seattle Thunderbirds, Sam Oremba. I've been talking to Sam about just his career in hockey, playing at the Bantam level. We've also talked about him getting drafted into the WHL, what that was like for him. We also talked about some of his favorite things, like his favorite movie, which is Happy Gilmore, his favorite player, Matt Barzal. And we also talked about the World Juniors a bit and one of his favorite memories. And just going outside of Bantam and Midget and just moving away from everything else right now, one of your favorite memories in hockey, I've heard, was winning back-to-back championships in second year Adam and then winning one in first year Pee Wee. I know that's a while ago now, but since that is your favorite memory, it's something that I feel like you'll never forget about. Just talk about what it was like winning a championship, not only once, but back to back at that very young age.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of people want to win those championships, so it was a fun time, and not only getting to win it once, but winning it twice was a big memory.
And were you able to play with any teammates further up in your hockey career from those teams?
Yeah, there's been a couple guys that I've played with now, and I still talk to some of the guys that I played with on that team. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, we're going to move away from that, which was so long ago. We're going to move into what's been happening with you and your team, the Regina Pat Canadians, this season. And you ended up signing there for this year. Why do you choose to sign with this team? I know that it was probably pretty easy for you, knowing that you weren't going to be able to have a season in the WHL.
Yeah, well, they're a great program. So, and lucky enough, they just live here in our backyard. So it was once I got the opportunity, I knew I was going to sign with them, knowing that we're a really good team.
And you get to reunite with your buddy Brady Burney on this team. Just knowing that you're able to come into a team like this where guys are older than you, some 17-year-olds moving into being 18-year-olds very soon, playing with guys that are even a year older than you, just playing against guys like this, I'm sure that it could be, maybe intimidating at times, but it seems like you handle the pressure very well. But just going back to playing with Brady, knowing that there's a guy that a guy that's your age coming up with you, how nice has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's definitely been a little bit different knowing that there's some older guys on the team, but me and Brady are really good friends, and we were around the team last year, APing on the team, so we kind of knew what it was about, and we just went on with it.
And how's it been like bonding with those older players and the time you've had to actually be with them in person?
Yeah, it's been really good. They're my buddies, so we talk, so it's fun.
Yeah, and I'm sure that that's made it so much easier for you, knowing that these older guys are willing to take you in as one of their own, even though you are at a very young age and you are a rookie. And it seems like you guys are having great success this season, and you guys are having great success. You guys are 6-1 right now. you guys are first place in the South Division, and just to know that you're able to play with this group of guys, knowing that they're able to take you in and treat you like one of their own, do you think that makes this team maybe that much more special, knowing that they're they're able to come together and really go for something as big as maybe a championship?
Yeah, it's big. I know we all have the same goal of going for a championship, and we've been playing good recently with our records. So we'll be building off that, and it's been good so far.
So 13 points in 7 games this season. You're only third in the league behind guys like Kalen Lind and your teammate Kyron Gronek, who both have 14 points each. You're only 1 point behind them. To know that you're able to come in after the season you had last year, the record-setting season, know that you're able to produce at an exceptionally high level during these first 7 games of the season. How much confidence is that giving your game, knowing that you're able to do this against the older players?
Yeah, it's definitely big knowing that it's the next level, and I'm still producing, and but it's been good. I've been playing with Kyron, and me and him have had some good chemistry, so we've been using each other well, and it's been awesome so far.
What would you say that makes you and Kyron so good together out of just the chemistry that you guys have been able to build?
Yeah, we're good friends, so we talk a lot, and we communicate a lot, and talk about what needs to be better, and how we can do that.
And I know that you had a goal this year and you have the goal of winning a championship, and that's a personal goal, but more of a team goal as well. What other personal goals are you setting for yourself this season?
Yeah, I'd like to have a great year like normal. Put up a good year, and hopefully I'll fall in line with a championship, and hopefully get called up to Seattle at the end of the year.
Yeah, and you guys are off to the right start. You guys got the right pieces, all the pieces of winning. Being able to maybe win a championship when playoff time comes. But we were talking about just the skills in your game, the things that you've worked on in your game throughout the years, like your strength, your explosiveness, and just your release with your shot. Just talk about what has been able to make you so successful this year. Are definitely those things getting better. But could you describe yourself as a player this year compared to last year?
Yeah, I definitely say my game's changed a lot. I've been working a lot in the gym, and I've gotten stronger like every year. So um, I've learned a lot from my teammates this year, and my game's definitely changed a little bit. I'm more of a playmaker I can be now. So, but I can also put the puck in the back of the net. So it works well.
And during this break, you've had a lot of time on your hands. Have you been focusing mainly on hockey stuff other than doing school stuff?
Yeah, I have. I've been working out at the gym here a lot. So um, been doing that, and spending a lot of time in the garage in the basement working on shooting and stick handling, and been doing a little bit of yoga too. So
Nice. And have ponds been able to open up? I know I was talking to one of my guests on my show, Coffee with Graham, Sydney Peterson, and she says there's been freezing rain in Regina, but I'm assuming you haven't been able to get out on the rinks this year.
I went on the pond once a couple weeks ago. It wasn't bad, but the outdoor rinks just opened up here, so I went out there a couple days ago. It was pretty good.
Nice, nice. And yeah, ODR, a great place to fine tune those skills for sure. Maybe play a little shinny, of course, at a safe social distance if that's even possible. I don't even know if that is playing shinny, but
Yeah.
um with this team this year, you guys are stacked with talent, loaded with talent. You guys have a good chance to win that championship, but what would you say are things that you guys kind of got to fine tune in your game when you get back to play?
Yeah, well, we'll definitely work on some stuff. We'll get back into shape and conditioning. We'll definitely fine tune our systems and our breakouts and all that stuff, so we're back into game shape when it comes back to game time.
And that's going to do it for the second installment of the Prospect Show on Amateur Sports TV. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth. A special thanks to all the viewers who have not only tuned into this show tonight, but all the other shows here on the network. A special thanks to Sam Oremba for joining me on tonight's episode and talking about his hockey life. And a special thanks to our two sponsors of tonight's episode, Tovey Hockey and Case Financial Group. Without the viewers, the guests, and the sponsors, our shows here on Amateur Sports TV wouldn't be able to happen. So I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Until 2021, I'll see you guys then. Stay safe out there. Have a happy holiday season. And until next time, I'll see you later.